Yo guys, what's going on? My name's Matt and I invest in Pokemon cards. In today's video, we're going to go over our 3-month, $100 a week challenge Pokefolio update. Now, throughout these 3 months, we've been investing $100 a week into various Mega Evolution block cards, and it's been a lot of fun. I really have to say, these Mega Attack Rares are some of my favorite cards that I've collected, invested in my time doing all of this within Pokemon. It's been a lot of fun to do this. It's kept me really regimented and really structured, allowed me to dollar cost average into different cards. And overall, it's been really fun. Now, you will see in this Pokefolio that there are other cards from other sets. Obviously, we have Prismatic Evolutions, we have Crown Zenith, we have Phantom Forces, we have Roaring Skies, etc. Because I've made some other videos, or will make other videos as far as Prismatic Evolutions is concerned, about the Poké 7. The Poké 7 and then other videos that will be coming on various other sets. The Poké 7, we'll go over it today, is intended to get you and get me exposure to other Pokemon eras, right? Vintage and mid-era and just overall cool cards that I want to collect. It doesn't really, reason why I started Poké 7 is because I felt like I backed myself into a corner. Maybe I've explained that in a comment, that I backed myself into a corner of only creating content for the Mega Evolution block of cards, and I just wanted to expand out a little bit. So that's overall why I did that. But I'm still going to invest $100 a week into these plays. We'll go over it in a little while. But overall, I'm really happy with where we are. Even with the summer slump, with all of these plays, we're down about 5%. If I was to remove the Poké 7 and Mewtwo V-Star, the Leafeon Flareon, etc., all those cards, we'd probably be down around 12 to 15%, which overall, if we have a 5-year time horizon, which I don't really want to set any yearly parameters or when I think something's going to happen, we're so early, right? In this cycle of cards, it's still being printed. To be down 12 to 15%, that's really nothing. So overall, I'm really happy with what we've been able to collect over these past 3 months. I think we're in a good spot, and I'm going to continue to do so. One of the reasons why I started this challenge is because I feel like there's so many people out there that give out picks, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. And then a lot of people also accuse them of pumping the market. So if you think I'm pumping the market on this Mega Charizard XEX plus Oricorio EX, me and my one copy, we're getting pumped. All right. This is just something to think about. So let's get right into it. There was a question on my last video that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and it kind of compares the Poké 7 picks and the Mega Evolution block of picks. So on my last video, there was a question: how does this new philosophy series relate to the previous series, that is investing $100 a week? Do you think the cards from that series, which are ranked as S and A, will be superseded by the cards you're presenting in this series, or are those still relevant? Now, I went on to say essentially what I just said in my intro, but he also asked, I understand the content creator's approach, right? I didn't want to back myself into a corner. And I understand that there are simply a huge number of cards. The question was intended to elicit a more detailed response regarding the predicted trend in the coming years with regards to those cards, which are often cheaper. So we'll go over the predicted trend of those cards in the coming years, but I also wanted to start with which are often cheaper. So cheap does not mean value. That is something that I want to express. I don't think that the commenter was expressing this in any way, but it's just something that I wanted to go over. Not every $5 card will eventually become a $25 card, right? The way that I've always looked at Pokemon investing, and I've said this time and time again on this channel, is popular Pokemon, great art. Both of those things have to be true. There are Pokemon in the Poké 7 that I like to call them, right? Charizard, Pikachu, Gengar, Mew, Umbreon, Mewtwo, and Rayquaza, that they're popular Pokemon, but the art is not that great. So you know what? I'll never buy that card. I have to actually like what I invest in and what I buy. That's not for everybody. That's just what has worked for me. So it's just something that I wanted to put out there, that cheap does not equal value. Now, do I think that the cards on this page will go up? Do I think that they are misvalued by the current market? I really do. The thing about the Mega Evolution block of cards is that time has not been allowed to do its thing yet. Obviously, they just released. Once time gets put into the equation, I think that we're going to see a lot of what we saw in past generations of Pokemon cards. I really do. And I know that these have been printed into the ground, and I know that they're very easy in order to get a PSA 10, but I do think that we will see the hype machine move onto these cards eventually. Now, the goal of the $100 a week investing challenge is to acquire these cards. We created a tier list in another video, which I will leave a link to the video in the description below. And we will also be adding to this tier list, and we will expanding it. We will be expanding it out from Mega Evolution into Prismatic, into Destined Rivals, into various other sets. But the goal is to acquire these cards, grade them in order to increase their value, and then consolidate into monsters. Now, the grading portion of thing may change throughout this challenge. We'll go over that in a moment. The acquiring and the consolidation phase haven't changed at all. We acquire these cards and then we consolidate into grails and monsters. Now, you don't have to consolidate into Pokemon cards. You could do something stupid. You could consolidate into bang. Thank you, Rayquaza. That was stupid. Right? You don't have to consolidate into Pokemon cards. I've learned my lesson and will be doing so from here on out. Now, that's not to say that life doesn't change when we go ahead and grade these cards, etc. But the goal overall is to acquire these cards, grade the ones that we can, hopefully get PSA 10s, consolidate those cards that we either graded or didn't grade, and just put them into just monsters, right? Those low pop, not even low pop, just grail of grail cards that everybody wants and have become so iconic in Pokemon. So the thing about the Mega Evolution block, and I'll use the Eye of Sauron here. I love to use this when talking to friends and just let them know how I like to view Pokemon investing. I think the Pokemon market is driven mostly on hype, right? I've asked people that have really low pop vintage cards, what do you like about the card? And the first thing they always say, well, it's low pop. Okay, but do you like the actual picture that is on the card? Or do you like the value of the card and how low of pop it is? I think a lot of people invest into Pokemon cards or invest into certain things in Pokemon because they want to have something that other people don't have. And they want to pull it out and they want the other person to be like, whoa! That's not my goal. My goal is to have fun, make a little bit of money along the way, and make YouTube videos for you guys, right? That's not their goal, and that's completely okay. But the hype machine, I feel like, drives a lot of people in this market. And what do I mean by that? When the light from the Eye of Sauron is on something, boom, the hype machine is in full effect. You can see it right now in Vintage and Mid-Era. It's just booming, right? Just absolutely booming like Modern was a few years ago. Everybody's just buying everything thinking it's going to go up forever, right? As if Vintage has never dropped ever. For the longest time, Vintage didn't move. Back in 2021, Vintage dropped 80% some cards, right? Just thinking overall that these cards are just going to go up forever. And you know what? They may, right? Nobody knows. But if history repeats itself, I fully feel that overall they will eventually come back down to reality. And that's a lot due to the hype machine and people pushing these cards and people saying over and over and over the same thing over and over and over again. And just keep on pushing those cards. And Instagram puts out that card. And another guy, oh, this is my top pick, etc. Right? Now, the Eye of Sauron, the hype machine, is most definitely not on the Mega Evolution block of cards. But that's where I like to invest. That's where I like to be. I get to go to the show and I'm not competing with anybody for the card. I don't got to be there at 9 a.m. with doors open in order to get a card. I'm going through my binders. I'm looking at the card. Bang, it's perfectly centered. Bang, it's been printed so well, this block. So I just look at the four corners and it's probably a PSA 10, right? I mean, obviously that's not true, but you guys know what I'm saying. I like to zig when other people are zagging. Now, the thing about this contrarian way of investing and waiting for this Eye of Sauron is that it's hard, right? You're going to be Squidward, you're going to be looking, and you're going to see a lot of other people that are having a blast in cards that you were like, I should have invested in that. I looked at it 3 months ago when it was $100. Now it's 400. I should have done it, right? It's hard, right? It's hard for cards to be down. I know this is 80% over a year after it just released, but it's hard to see these cards come down this hard and stay there and find the floor. It's hard. I know it. Did I say it's hard? But the best part about doing this is that this is where major money can be made. And when everybody else is trying to chase these plays and you're able to just get your position. When the Eye of Sauron comes, you know what you're going to be like when you have these plays and you've invested into them and you have your position, you have your 25 Frokies that now just became $30. You're going to be like this. Ah, that was worth the wait. Because that's honestly what it is. It's just waiting and just waiting for time to do its thing. Time has not been able to do its thing yet on the Mega Evolution block of cards, right? Eventually, hopefully, maybe not, the Eye of Sauron will hit these cards. And when it does, hold on, right? Because you're going to be doing a lot of consolidating when that happens, and it's going to feel almost euphoric. I've been there, I've done it multiple times, right? It's hard to look at every other YouTube video and Instagram post that says invest in low vintage pop, this is modern slop, etc. I just feel like a lot of them get told what to like and are follow the crowd type of people. I've never been that way. Sure, there's some cards I see, I'm like, wow, I really should have invested in that, and it's a really cool card, etc. But I just wait for it to come back down to reality. Now, the thing that is really hard about this overall is that the Eye of Sauron may never hit these plays, right? The Mega Evolution block could never have a hype cycle. It could never have a hype cycle. Or just overall, the overall market of Pokemon could just simply crash. The overall market could just simply go bye-bye, and all of this could just go back to the way that it was, and all the MSRP gang would be so happy, and all these people that wanted to pick up cards for $2 a piece that were recently $50 a few years ago, they'll be able to do it. Do I think that this is going to happen anytime soon? No. I think that there's too much money coming into the hobby. I think that there's a lot of hype overall, even into other TCGs. And the other thing is that Pokemon itself hasn't even done collector boxes, hasn't done cards. Disney just did cards where if you hold your phone over them, it plays a video. Pokemon doesn't have any of this. Pokemon could snap their fingers and make any of this possible, and it would be, you don't even want to know what it would be. They haven't even done these things, and they're number one, and they haven't even done any of these things. That's the crazy part. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't invest in other TCGs. I don't, just because I only invest in what I know. So that's really the reason why. I think if you invest in other TCGs and you know what you're doing, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't like to do it. But the thing that I want to stress here is that there is no rush with any of this, right? When you are contrarian investing, you do what you can, right? If for 1 week or for a few months you can't buy, you'll probably come back and the market will be exactly the same. And that's great, right? When you make mistakes in investing is when you get into the hype of it all and you're like, oh my God, I need this card. You buy it for $600 or you buy it after it went up 200%. And then now you're like, oh man, did I make a good purchase? And it's very possible that you could have, but you're rushing, right? So you weren't able to really gauge whether or not this is a good investment, if this was a card that you actually really wanted, or if you just bought into the hype. There's no rush with any of these Mega Evolution block cards, guys. The hype machine isn't here right now. And it's the adult time at the pool. It's nice. We're chilling just like Psyduck. I don't got to fight at a table, or not at a table, but I don't have to fight on eBay for auctions on these cards and things like that. All the cards that I'm able to find at shows are minty, but that goes into another maybe potential issue with the Mega Evolution blocks of cards. What I'm trying to say is there's no rush, right? With all of these cards, you will be able to pick up, if you want to have a crazy Mega Gengar EX position, attack rare, you'll be able to do it. I don't really think that there's any rush on that. If you want to have 50 of these Mega Charizard X EX plus Oricorio EX promos, I don't think there's a rush with that, right? You will be able to pick these up for these prices, even with the 30th, I think, for a very long time to come. And if that's not true, then great. We've been investing in them, so that's cool, right? The only regret that we'll have is that we didn't buy more, right? And that's a pretty, not a great regret, but it's better than not buying it at all, right? It's better than not buying those plays at all. So that could be a regret of, man, I wish I bought more. But again, we're in no rush, right? This is about fun. This is about experiencing the hobby, going to shows, winning, sniping an eBay auction, which they're getting rid of, right? Talking to people about this, watching the right content. It doesn't even have to be my content, right? Now, the thing about the Poké 7 and the reason why I created the Poké 7 is because sometimes it gets a little boring just buying the same Mega Evolution block of cards over and over again, buying your 40th Froakie. Maybe you already have a position in these cards, etc., and you just want some exposure into mid-era and vintage, or it doesn't necessarily mean that the Poké 7 have to be into either of those blocks. It could also be modern, which it has been. But these cards will probably appreciate sooner than the Mega Evolution block of cards will. Now, do I think that some of these cards that are in the Mega Evolution block, such as the Mega Attack Gengar, will they separate from the pack? It's very possible. I still don't think you're in any rush. But these cards are meant to give you a little bit of action while we're waiting on the sidelines for these Mega Evolution blocks of cards. And they're almost a hedge against the market, in a sense, right? Those Mega Evolution block of cards, the hype machine may never find them, guys. It may never find them. It may take 5 years to find them. But in that 5 years, you're going to have exposure to these other plays. You're going to have a lot of fun. You're not just going to be investing into the same 20 cards for 5 years, right? Because things change. The cards you like change, etc. So that's really the reason why I wanted to create the Poké 7. And I think overall, it's not necessarily the predicted trend in the coming years of those cards, which are often cheaper. I don't think that the trend of them will be any different from trends that we've seen in the past. It just may take longer for them to appreciate compared to the Poké 7. That's really it. The whole message of this video is this is what has worked for me. You could do whatever you want. If you want to only invest in the Poké 7, that's completely fine. These cards are going to be super liquid. They're going to be moving. You're going to probably have to be a little bit more active when it comes to buying and selling them, which is, if that's your flow, very well, that's great. But the reason why is I also like the Poké 7 is because to be invested only in the Mega Evolution block of cards is risky, extremely risky, right? With all of these things being said, with all of these things that have come out, it's good to diversify. I don't believe diversifying into other TCGs. I believe in diversifying among different eras within Pokemon. So that's just the way that I look at it. So to succinctly say it, I think the Poké 7 will take dips and dives and go up and go down much more quickly than the Mega Evolution block of cards. But I do think that the Mega Evolution block of cards will appreciate with time. They just need time to do its thing. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. Again, you could do whatever you want. This is what has worked for me, and this is what I'll continue to do. But again, you could do whatever you want. You don't have to buy a card that I list on this channel. You don't even have to watch me. You could do whatever you want. This is Pokemon, my man. You could do whatever you want. Guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.